Hello. Welcome back. I'm sorry we missed last week. It was a rough day for me last Wednesday. I wasn't even feeling close to 100%. I was probably feeling about 60%. So I think it was better that I just got an early night and got some sleep that day. 1 second, my microphone is in the worst position in the world. Hold on. Let's have a look. There we go. That seems a bit better. Alrighty. I guess we'll quickly just kick off with, guys, I see it's showing there right now, Legacy Tee available in 4 different colors. It says $27. However, have you guys seen right now, this week only, and I think it is this week, this was posted 2 days ago, 30% off at checkout will turn a $27 t-shirt into, I believe, approximately a $19 t-shirt, right? You can't get that kind of value anywhere else, guys. So we're going to kick off with that. I believe this is on the entire store, so you can also use it on, is that really open in a new tab? So you can also use it on the jersey, so that'll take $60 down to just over 40. Yeah, down to 19, down to 19, down to 19. I don't know what 30% off a dad hat is, just over 12 or something. The hoodie will be just over 40. Go use your 30% off while you can, guys. As far as I can tell, it's only for this week. So head over and use the 30% off. That is 30% off at checkout to get that deal. We'll start off with that while we're here. I'm still listed under Halo Infinite. Hold on, I'll get someone to fix that. Right, someone will fix that for me. There we go. Alrighty. Alright, let's lock that off. Let's get rid of this thing, which we can do like that. Where are we at? We got anything else? Yeah, so we've done the shop. Okay, so if you want to go to the shop and you can't be able to post shop.col.gg, hit the barcode, QR code. Not barcode, is it? And I could just edit the price on these things, but I don't want to do it because it'll fuck it up. And of course, as always, guys, I'm going to plug the Discord. There's no financial interest in the Discord. It is purely if you want to come and chill with me and other fans and talk about Counter-Strike on a daily basis. I'm very active in there. I'm active every day, chatting shit, talking Counter-Strike, talking complexity, whatever you want to do. There's always fun stuff going on in there. So feel free to head over to the Discord and enjoy being a part of the community, I guess. Let's see, what have we got this week? What did we miss last week? I can't remember what I had on my list for last week. It's been so long. It feels like it's been forever since I did one of these, which it has. It's been 2 weeks. Let's think. When was the last time I did one? It must have been after we got back from Cologne, right? Yeah, I didn't do one in Cologne. So I did do one on the 30th, which covered a few things, and then we missed last week, and then we're back this week. So I'm not sure what has happened since then. Obviously, we've got the heroic game, the Blast Bounty stuff to cover. We can cover that. I'm unsure what else there is that we can go into, but we will find... we'll find some other stuff. I'm sure there is some other things to go through. So, right. So, I know one thing we can quickly jump into. I don't... do I want to show the email? No, I'm not going to show the email, but a few weeks back, you guys might remember... we talked about, actually this is quite a few weeks ago, right? This is quite a few weeks ago. There was the issue with the prize money for Blast, Austin Major, where essentially Blast changed the prize money for the Austin Major just randomly, like a month after they sent us all the agreements and we signed everything. Blast just took $5,000 away from the teams in stage one, who finished in stage one of the major. Well, I documented all of that and had the proof that they changed it all, and Blast didn't respond for 3 weeks, but they did finally respond today, and I'll just read the email, I guess. It has come to our attention, thanks to me, that the Blast Major Rulebook, updated on May the 6th, was not communicated to teams. The rulebook was updated as requested by Valve to reflect the prize money distribution as set by Valve. So what that means is that Blast sent all the teams a rulebook that had the prize pool that was not approved by Valve and was not Valve's prize money. They just made up a prize pool and sent it to all the teams. The update included a correction in the distribution of prize money. In short, the current version of Blast TV reflects the current distribution. This is also the version reflected on HLTV's breakdown, which means that the Valve Global Ranking, which doesn't exist, there is no such thing as the Valve Global Ranking, there's the Valve Regional Standings, which is the VRS, list is correct, and that invites based off the 7th of July are likewise also correct. A consequence of the update, however, is that Stage 1 teams do not receive prize money. We understand the lack of communication on the update is an oversight on our behalf. Therefore, we have decided to proceed with paying out compensation equal to the initial amounts, $5,000 for Stage 1 teams. So, first of all, credit to Blast for admitting that. I think that actually shocked me, to be honest. I thought they were just going to sweep this all under the rug, and it was going to be something that I would have to fight tooth and nail to get any kind of admission or anything out of. I imagine if I didn't have all the evidence, they may have thought differently, but yeah, we get paid our money, but we don't get the ranking points that we should have had. I mean, it's good for the players to get paid their prize money. It's good for us to get the prize money as revenue, but ultimately, if it doesn't affect the ranking, it doesn't mean too much in the grand scheme of things. And I mean, the counter argument to that is that not only did it not affect our ranking by increasing our ranking by the $5,000, it also increased 8 teams who finished in stage 3 an additional $5,000 where they should have had $5,000 less. So, you know, I think there's a huge failure here from Blast, obviously, in terms of the fact that they essentially made up a prize pool and sent it to the teams. Not only did they make up a prize pool and send it to the teams, but that is also the prize pool that was active at the time we all signed the agreements to attend the event. So I think there's a huge problem there, obviously, but I do respect the fact that they have actually acknowledged they fucked up completely, and they are paying the prize money. They're paying the financial aspect back, at least for the prize money. Obviously, we don't get the ranking, but yeah, it's yeah. I'm more surprised about the fact that they actually admitted it and they're actually paying out. That to me is quite impressive. I did not expect that, so fair play to Blast for that. But yeah, how this situation occurred in the first place is quite astonishing, really, to be honest. So yeah. All right, guys. I think we should be on Counter-Strike now on Twitch, at least. Someone can confirm that's true. Not that it really matters, but someone can confirm that's true. Yes. So yeah, that's the first little piece of news. That was a fun one. What else is there? I guess we can jump into. I think a few things have happened since. Actually, yeah. Let's go first. So first thing on the list is we are going to be attending. This is the first event. This is the next event we have lined up. It's Draculand. Cool. I'm actually really excited about this one, to be honest. I actually quite like. Let's keep me. I'm very important. Keep my face on this thing. We're going to Draculand, which is in 15 days. So the guys are going to be flying in what, like a week and a half or something, or like 2 weeks. No, somewhere between a week and a half and 2 weeks. We are going to be playing this event. You can see the full team. That is not our logo. Oh, Jesus. Hold on. They didn't have logos on here before. Let me just go. We need to fix this right now. Hold on. Let me go find the logo pack and send it to these guys so that we don't have any issues. Is it this one? Hold on. Where's our freaking logo? I've got the link here somewhere. Here it is. Just. One second. I mean, they never asked us for a logo, so it's not like we sent the wrong one. But it would be nice if they had the correct one at least. Just sending them the logo now. That's a little bit embarrassing, but I didn't know and they didn't ask, so nothing I can really do. Updates on the new logo. I can't give any updates on the new logo, I'm afraid. It's just not something I'm involved with. If there's a new logo coming, it's you have to ask Jason about that. So this website is Draculand's own website, or it's the tournament organizer who is running Draculand's own website. So these are the teams, and it is, originally NRG were attending, but NRG just got replaced by ENTS yesterday. So it is a sort of a who's who of Tier 2 European Counter-Strike at this point. Obviously NIP are there, Fnatic, Passion, Iberian Soul, Nine. There's some pretty good teams in there that are going to be fighting for this, fighting for the VRS points, let's be honest. They're not fighting for the championship, they're fighting for VRS points. We're actually really looking forward to this event. I think it's going to be a fun one. The format for this event is interesting, to say the least. Let me bring it up for you. Where is this event? Here it is. Right. So this is the format for this event. It's an interesting one. So this is the main event. It's an 8-team double elimination bracket. That all looks pretty normal, right? But now this is not Fragadelphia. So there's 4 teams that are seeded into the high seed signups, and one of them will be us, one of them will be NIP, and I need to figure out who the next 2 are. I think one is going to be Iberian Soul and maybe Fnatic, but I'll double check. But there's 4 teams that are seeded into the high seeds, and then all the other 12 teams are put into this open qualifier, where there's 4 groups of 3, and only the number 1 team from each group proceeds. I do wonder if that's maybe partly why NRG dropped out, is because the chances of them actually getting through the groups and then into the main stage is maybe quite low. Not because they're necessarily bad, but they have to beat both the teams in their group basically, which does lower the odds quite a bit. If it's like 2 teams progressing from 4 slots, obviously that just increases the odds, right? So it's quite a tough format for these teams that are in this first stage. But we'll be seeded into the main event. We'll be the number 2 seed, I think. So that should keep us away from, I assume, the best other team in the group, which is NIP. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera, I can tell. Let's just quickly bring up the rankings, and I will quickly just figure out who the number 3 and 4 seeds will be for this event. Let's have a look. So based on this, Fnatic, Iberian Soul are probably the 2 I'm expecting it to be. Iberian Soul are ranked 29, Fnatic are ranked 32. Is anyone above them? Passions are below, ENTS are below. Is Saw attending? No, Saw aren't here. Eyeballers, Hyperspirit, Aim Club. Yeah, so it's going to be NIP are going to be the number 1 seed. We're going to be the number 2. Number 3 is going to be Iberian Soul, and number 4 is going to be Fnatic. So those are the 4 teams that will progress through directly to the this final stage, essentially. And yeah, I don't know anything about Draculan, but it looks like the frag turnout. Yeah, that's because it's basically the same teams. Yeah, basically the same teams. So yeah, that's why. We'll get to frag in a second. But yeah, this is Draculan. This is in Romania. This is in Bucharest. It's actually like 2 minutes away from the hotel we stayed at for PGL Bucharest and the PGL Cluj-Napoca group stage. And I assume the PGL Bucharest 2, which used to be PGL Belgrade, event, so we know the place well, and obviously the last time we were there we made top 4 at the PGL Bucharest event, so hoping we can go back to Bucharest and have a good week again, but you know, there's never any guarantees in life. They need to send their prize pool like today, right? Am I going crazy? Wait, hold on. 30th. They need to send it by Saturday. Otherwise, they're going to be in violation of the TOR for not sending their additional information. I'm just going to mention that to them. One second. Yeah, I mean, breaching the TOR doesn't do anything, but if on the off chance that Valve suddenly decide to actually do something, I don't want the one event that we're involved in to get relegated in some way. So I'm just gonna help a TO out. You know, I like to try and be, how do you say, proactive rather than reactive in general. I think I give TOs more than enough heads up on some of the shit they do. Sometimes they just pull bullshit out of their ass and then you have no chance of ever helping them, but you know, I try and do my best. So yeah, I'm just gonna make sure they haven't actually sent it. I know they sent a new rulebook recently, so I'm just gonna quickly scroll through the rulebook. They have not, but I'm sure they will. Cool. I'm just gonna mention it to them. Out of interest, have they missed any other aspects of the additional info before I... Got to help these guys out. They're like basically a first-time organizer for this kind of level of event, so I think it's reasonable that we try and help people out with this kind of stuff. Let's have a look. Definition of VRS filters. They've done that. They've made it global from Europe. VRS rank, which they begin invitations, doesn't matter. Number of rosters subject to VRS invite, no. VRS invitation date, no. VRS publication date for invites, no. VRS publication date for seeding, yes, they have. Visa region the tournament takes place, I mean, Romania. Open qualifier will be part of the tournament, if so, the rules for such an open qualifier, yes. Which tournament stages are on LAN or online, yes. The prize pool and rules for its distribution, so that's what they've got to do. And any integrity or conduct rules, they've done that. So yeah, that's all covered. Nice. They just need to do the prize pool. Oh, while we're in the TOR, let's just Valve added something today, which is great, and will resolve a bunch of stuff. So let's just quickly jump in here. This bit here, verifiability of date publication. Any publication, hold on one second, I've got Jeff in my inbox. Any published information must be published on a platform that does not allow modification of past posts, e.g. x.com. I mean, x.com does allow edits for like an hour, right? But it doesn't matter. Preserves version history, e.g. GitHub, or it must be preserved on an independent archiving platform, e.g. Internet Archive's Wayback Machine. So the reason why they've added this is because certain TOs are disputing or claiming to dispute whether or what slots they allocated. So basically, there's a few tournaments, I won't name them, I don't think I need to right now, but basically have changed slots in the recent past, in the recent sort of last few weeks, and are essentially disputing that they ever either announced the slots that they were supposedly using beforehand. And essentially Valve are just saying, get your shit together, you have to announce this shit in a place where you can't just like edit the website. So it has to be like, it can't just be on your own tournament website. So for example, like ESL published a lot of their, okay, just want to clarify, ESL are not responsible for this rule. Like ESL do their stuff correctly and they're fine, but like ESL publish their stuff on their ESL Pro Tour website, and then they like link to it in a tweet. They now have to write all the information in the tweet. Same for like Blast TV, they wouldn't be able to write the stuff on Blast TV alone. They'd have to also put it all in a tweet or something similar that allows them to have it be a publicly verifiable source that they can't edit post publication, essentially. So I just want to clarify, actually, I don't think either of those two are the two I'm talking about. So I've used bad examples there. Good examples would be Perfect World in CAC, Starladder, and Thunderpick. So I ended up naming them anyway. Great. Right. Let's jump back into... Yeah, so that covers Draculan. I've now given them the last thing they need to fix their... have they updated the VRS seeding data? Last I checked, they're using HLTV VRS rankings instead of actual Valve rankings. I'll just check their rules and see. Let's have a look. I'm in their rules. VRS seeding. In line with Valve guidelines of Tier 2, Draculan's with VRS rankings seed the teams in the main event. Once the registration closes, the top 4 teams by VRS rank amongst the registered teams will be seeded directly into the main event bracket. This seeding's... Yeah, okay. I mean, they don't specify HLTV, it just says in line with Valve's guidelines for Tier 2 events, Draculan will use the VRS ranks to seed the teams into the main event. Once the registration closes, which it has, the top 4 teams by VRS rank among the registered teams will be seeded directly into the main event of the bracket. I mean, that's not technically correct. I'll get them to update that. They do have to specify an actual... Let me just quickly message them about this. Cool. Bottom of the page previously. Okay, so Finn, just to clarify, I'm looking at the rulebook they sent us a few days ago, which I suppose technically isn't a public announcement, but technically had the rankings 3 days before the event. That technically is still valid, because it's, if you say you're going to use the latest VRS update available 3 days before the event, then you basically get the flexibility of, if Valve suddenly start publishing live rankings, then you can use those. Otherwise, you just use the most recent invite ranking, which is also the most recent live ranking. So you don't have to specify a specific month ranking. All you have to do is say we're going to use the latest available on this date. Holy shit! I've got a little grey hair there. Look at that! Oh my god, I'm dying. I'm going grey. Fuck me. That's horrible. That's gonna get gone later. I know we are a tier 1 team, but why not go into open qualifiers for tier 3 tournaments and get VRS like TNL? Well, the simple answer is it wouldn't be valuable for us for a number of reasons. Yeah, so I guess this is a reasonable question. There's a few reasonable answers to this. One is the value of events in North America is just so little that we wouldn't get any value from it. We would basically be playing low value stakes matches, and it wouldn't be worth it for us in North America. So the reward would be extremely low. It's not like we can qualify for any significant events. Like even qualifying for the Blast Open would have been very, very intangibly bad for us, most likely. The risk of what we could have achieved versus the reward we would have gained would have been so, like, the disparity would have been so huge that it wouldn't really have been worth it for us to go. The same applies to CCTs. You can argue that Thunderpick we should have tried to qualify for. We did not try to qualify for Thunderpick because at the time that Thunderpick sent all the invites, they had global invites to their event. So we would have taken one of those. Like 100%, we would have either taken one of those or we would have taken one to CAC. Now, both of those events essentially fucked us, which you can't really account for. Like, both of them basically just changed their events overnight and removed the possibility of us qualifying for them, which shouldn't be allowed. Valve have allowed it. Valve have approved it. But yeah, nothing we can really do about that. What other ones have there been that we didn't play? We didn't play Pro League Qualifier. We would definitely have played the Pro League Qualifier if we hadn't been at Fisher at the time. So that was just unfortunate scheduling. Nothing we could do about that one. We wouldn't have played the Star Ladder Qualifier because we would have been at Fisher, but the Star Ladder also removed the qualifier, another event which we were guaranteed to go to. Removed all the global slots in favour of European slots for absolutely no reason other than to essentially fuck everyone. But yeah, it's been a tough time out here because essentially a lot of the events that we basically had guaranteed leading into this season just got completely taken away from us because TOs and Valve have no respect and don't want to honour the agreements they made and don't care about non-European regions essentially. So yeah, it's been a tough time, to be honest, the last few weeks. We can delve into some more shenanigans and fuckery from Valve and TOs and a few other things, but ultimately it doesn't change what has happened, which is we don't have the opportunities that we had initially, and to find that out after you've already committed to a season is pretty messed up, but it is what it is. Right, let's head on to, I guess, the big news of the week. Boom. Home Sweet Home, Fragadelphia, The Block 2, 32 teams, $10,000 prize pool, October 3rd to the 5th. Why is October 3rd to the 5th relevant, everybody? It is because the major cutoff is on the 6th of October. So, naturally, this was going to draw a lot of attention. I don't think people fully guessed how much attention it was going to draw. Having said that, they sold 7 tickets to Frag Knoxville in 1 minute and 30 seconds. So 32 tickets to this event were probably going to fly off the shelves very quickly. I think that was quite clear. What I will say is there was one person. I mean, there might have been other people, but certainly one person who guessed. this was yeah, I posted this after the 7 tickets Fragadelphia sold out in whatever. Sorry, this was after the 32 teams tickets got bought in 3 minutes. I said the EU teams are going to be at Frag in Force. I'd guess close to 50% of the tickets. Well, not only was it exactly not only was it exactly 50% of the tickets, but I guessed it exactly right. So I'm very happy about that. So yeah, we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I think Revel is 16, right? I think that's 16. European teams, and then we've got what 9Z, Bounty Hunters, Bestia, Sharks as the South American teams. So that brings us up to 20, and then there's 12 North American teams, I believe, currently. So that wasn't far off. Revel is NA. Really? I thought Revel was one of these other teams that I missed. Is it Tokugawa then? I don't know who Tokugawa is. There's one more European team in there. I know that. Which one is it? Oh, okay. These guys. Minalte is EU. There you go. That's who it is. Yeah. But basically, there's 16 European teams, 12 North American teams, and 4 South American teams. Obviously, worthwhile mentioning, like teams like NRG and M80 are both playing ESL Pro League until, well, they're playing ESL Pro League. Stage 1 ends on the 1st of October, which means travel on the 2nd of October. So they technically could make it for the 3rd, but it's tight. But obviously, if they proceed to stage 2, then they can't play Frag. So that might be the reasons why they didn't sign up. Wildcard are in there. We're obviously in there. Are Blue Jays in here? Did Blue Jays get a ticket? No, Blue Jays didn't get a ticket, but Marsborn did. Like, it's gonna be really, really, really interesting to see who gets these final slots, because it is basically going to come down to Frag. It's basically going to come down to Frag. So yeah, Tokugawa is also NA. Okay. Yeah, there's a few teams here I actually don't know. My ball knowledge of like the lower end of tier 2 North America, or tier 3, I don't know, is interesting. Let's have a look. See. Thoughts on Liquid not going to Frag? I think they are in trouble. Now, I don't know if they tried to buy a ticket and just failed, or if that was an intentional miss. I don't know. If I was Liquid, based on the matches I know they have, bear in mind they don't have that Pro League, but they do have the Fisher, right? They either have Fisher or Starladder. I'm pretty sure they probably accepted the Fisher invite. That's my guess. So they're basically putting their entire... So they've got Blast Bounty, technically. I know they just got Vitality in the first match, but that is a LAN match. If they can beat Vitality there, they're going to get a lot of points. They then got Esports World Cup, where they play Vitality first round in a single elimination. So that instantly puts them in a rough spot, right? That puts them in a rough spot. Yeah, hold on. Let's have a look. They weaseled their way into London. I think that's a bit unfair. So Blast do have rules around replacements. Their rules were pretty clear this time around. It says if a team who was invited via VRS drops out of the event, then the team is replaced by the next highest team in the VRS. That was Liquid. Like they didn't. I know that they lost a qualifier and then got invited to the event, but because they didn't replace the team that qualified, they replaced the team that was outside of that. It's okay. It's fine with me. Like it's not a problem. Nobody bent any rules there. We'll get to the other Blast replacement situation later because that one makes no sense. But yes. Yeah, as Mischief said, Liquid have got so much LAN overhead, even winning Fisher was a no-brainer. So yeah, basically what Mischief is saying here is that Liquid don't have all that many LAN wins, meaning that they could go to both events. They could go to Fisher and they could go to Frag, and they could get benefit from both basically. So yeah. So yeah, thoughts on Liquid not going to Frag. If I was them, I would have bought a ticket just to have a safety net. Yeah, it's, I mean, like, you know, even, but like looking at this team list, like there's no guarantees that any team can like secure 2, 3, 4 LAN wins here. Like this is going to be a tough event for everyone. Like there's no clear teams that are like head and shoulders above the rest. There is unfortunately a few North American teams who are going to get the shit kicked out of them, which is unfortunate, but you know, it'll be a good experience in some degree. Yeah, like going to this Fragadelphia is not going to be like a clear, you know, secure your spot by default, which we'll get to Frag Nox in a second, because that's actually more important for me, in my opinion, for some of the teams that did get into the Knoxville event. So we'll get to that one in just a second. But yeah, this Frag Blocktober is going to be pretty insane. I do think they're going to extend it. I do think there's going to be 8 more teams added to this team list. I think they'll get up to 40. But yeah, this is a crazy team list. Like this is one of the best like tier 2 LAN events I've seen in like 10 years. Like this reminds me of like early days, like Copenhagen Flames, like Copenhagen Games, in terms of like the fact that it's like an open LAN event and things like that. Like early days Copenhagen Games had like all the best teams, and this sort of reminds me of that in a sense. Obviously the relative team level is lower, but yeah. Who is spamming my Discord? Oh, okay, that's good. Right. Cool. The Draculan guys are updating the rulebook for all the stuff they need to do, so that's great. Cool. So yeah, Frag the Block 2, October 3rd to the 5th, and we will have the guys out there. And yeah, I'm hoping for us. I mean, so let's talk about this really cynically. I know Mischief brought this up earlier, but like really cynically now, if we look at this. So let's just quickly like go to this is the ranking, right? This is the predicted ranking in 2 months' time, basically. So we're currently 6th with this many points, and a lot of these teams don't really have many events left over, and if they do, it's like, you know, for example, 9Z, Bestia, Marsborn, Sharks, Wildcard, like those guys. This little section here, they're all at Frag Block, right? They're like, there's no way that all of them is going to win 3 or 4 matches, because they're going to play other European teams. They'll have to play each other. Like, they can't all earn that many points. Blue Jays aren't there. Imperial aren't there. Fluxo isn't there, but Fluxo are at Frag Knoxville, as are Energy. So, Frag Knoxville, Energy, Fluxo, that could be big. I think Odic are also at Frag Knoxville. We'll get to that soon. Furia are fine. Pain are fine. Legacy. What events does Legacy have? Legacy might be in an interesting position. So they don't have EWC. They do now have Blast Open Fall because of the Pain situation. But that's kind of a net zero, right? Because it's Pain or Legacy, like who cares which one qualifies. Imperial just got Blast, right? Imperial just got Blast. So that'll be interesting for them. And then Fisher will have Legacy, Pain, and Furia. Yeah, Furia are confirmed. I'm pretty sure Legacy... Oh no, Legacy were 21 going into that ranking. Legacy may not get Fisher, but they might get Star Ladder if any of the top 20 teams decline either Star Ladder or Fisher, they'll get one of them. But Mibba won't get it because they're below Legacy. Interesting. MIBR just got CAC, but that's after, so that doesn't matter. So yeah, I mean, looking at this right now, like who's in Pro League? Legacy in Pro League. Legacy are in Pro League, so they've got stage 1 of Pro League, so they can pick up 3 wins there. MIBR are not in Pro League. Furia are in Pro. Yeah, Furia are fine. Pain are not in Pro League. So, like, Furia are fine. Pain have got like 1 or 2 events. Legacy have got like 1 or 2 events. M80 have got Pro League. And did M80 sign up for Knoxville? I don't really know who signed up. Did M80 sign up for Knoxville? M80 are not currently signed up for Knoxville. So M80 have got Pro League and Blast Open. But I mean, to be honest, like the Blast Open, I can switch to this now. Like Blast Open, so like these 4 teams are going to get sorted via VRS, which I think will be like FlyQuest and Ecstatic, and then M80 and Imperial. So these 4 teams are going to play against these 4 teams. I mean, you can kind of see the issue, right? Like these 4, Ecstatic, M80, Imperial, are going to play against FaZe, Spirit, Mouse, and Vitality. It might not even be those 4 teams by the time we get there. It might just be Vitality, Mouse, Spirit, and whoever's 4th. But either way, like this is going to be a bloodbath in the first round. And then second round, they'll get like one of these teams or one of these teams. So it's going to be tough for anyone to win these matches. This is all online as well. But yeah, this is going to be a tough tournament for some of these teams. So yeah, interestingly, going back to this point again, as we mentioned with the Blocktober event, like a lot of these teams are either not playing, or if they are playing, they're not going to win that many points because of all the European teams. So essentially, all the European teams coming to Frag basically means that we have less competition for the major slot, which, I'll be honest, we're trying to push for a stage 2 slot. I think we can make a genuine attempt to overtake MIBR and M80 and get into the top 4. But we'll see. Like stage 1 is stage 1. It's good enough. We want to go to the major more than anything, but ideally we would get stage 2 just to have it. So yeah, I think it's achievable. Like obviously, like this includes Decay with no matches played, so we're 80 points behind, 83 points behind. I think that's reasonable with the events we have left to make up that deficit. Also because M80 have quite tough events. I mean, Pro League is a bit weaker, so they can get some good LAN wins on Pro League, but if they don't go to both frags, they're basically putting all their eggs in the Pro League basket, which, yeah, it's tough. It's not easy to win matches on LAN for anyone, but Pro League does have one of the weaker first stages, so it's possible. I think M80 can probably win some matches there, but I'd like to think we can at least secure ourselves pretty comfortably in like the 5th position. So I guess now the next thing to do is go to Frag Knoxville, which, as I said earlier, yeah, people really want to go to this event. Like when you look at, like, no offense to any of the North American teams on this list, but this is a significantly weaker Philadelphia event than the first one. Yeah, this is a significantly weaker. Tom, just quickly. Yeah, MAT has Thunderpick. Yeah, Thunderpick is an online European event. It's not going to be worth that many points for them. Like, it might give them some points, and it also might have weaker teams, so they might be able to pick up some wins. I would consider Thunderpick pretty similar to like the Yala Compass event that we played right before the previous major cutoff, where. So it's good to note that it's single elimination, so one loss and they're out, and they should be one of the lowest seeds of the event, my understanding. And so they'll play one of the best teams, and it's only maximum 2 matches. So they're not gonna earn that many points from it, because I'll show it here. So we don't know who these teams are going to be yet, but I imagine it'll be some pretty solid European teams, like kind of similar to the teams that we will be playing. Like the Fragadelphia, like the NIPs, the Fnatic, the Nips, the Ences, the Passion, Saw, Iberian Soul. Whoever's not traveling to another event at that time will be playing this event. So it's not going to be easy. And then the format is single elim, 2 matches only. So like maybe they win like 20 points from one game and then lose 10 from the next game, or lose 20 straight away, or whatever. Like even if they win out, they might win max like 45-50 points would be my guess. So it's, and we should also mention that obviously Legacy, Imperial, and 9Z also have this event. So yeah, there'll be some movement there, but I don't consider this like a big points earner, let's say. Anyway, yeah, back to Frag Knoxville, which September 5th to the 7th. So this is like, is this the week after we get back? I think it's the week after we get back from Draculan. So we get back from Draculan on the 1st of September, and we'll be in Knoxville by the 3rd or something. Looking forward to this event. Some pretty good teams here. Do we know who the Frag Jersey 10 winner is? Was that this week? I seem to remember that was like this week, right? Or was it soon? Does anyone remember when this event was? It's a smaller one, so it's not currently covered on Wikipedia as far as I can tell. But that was recently, right? Slove? No, he's currently not allowed in the US yet. We are in the 8th month. They said 6 to 8 months. So I'm holding out hope that he'll have his visa in place for October 3rd and will be present at Frag Block. But there is obviously no guarantee that he will be there. So we will make plans accordingly. So yeah. As I said earlier, this is the Fragadelphia event to go to if you want to get your VRS up. So NRG are going to have probably quite a good time here. Which, NRG, to be fair, have done very well at playing these smaller Fragadelphia events. I can see Marsborn getting info as 2 others who will probably be looking to try and secure their major qualification. Obviously, Marsborn and Getting Info, actually, I think both have the second frag as well, do they not? Am I going crazy? Are they both there? Getting Info, yeah, and Marsborn, yeah. So both of those have both events. So Marsborn and Getting Info, they might be some pretty good outsider bets for taking these slots. Like if they can have a good time at Fragville. Worth noting, of course, that September 5th to the 7th means that the event will end on the 7th, but the decay for the land wins will start from the 5th, so they might lose like a tiny percent, but essentially it means that every land win they get at this event will be worth like 100%. So this is a pretty significant zero decay event essentially for their land wins. So Marsborn getting info, NRG. I mean, I don't see many other like big name team. Obviously, yeah, Odic and Fluxo from Brazil. Did I see Sharks were here as well? Was Sharks coming to this one? No, Sharks are not this one, so it's just Odic and Fluxo. So, you know, I'd say there's 5 probably favorite teams there. And yeah, I mean, I think whoever does well at this event will most likely, unless they are a complete, Blue Jays might be going since they're the Daddy Skins winner. Yeah, that's a good point. I saw that last night. Yeah, they beat, who did they beat in the final? Was it Wildcard they beat in the final of this one? Of that Daddy Skins? I think they beat Wildcard, right? Yes. So, yeah, so if Blue Jays come in as the Daddy Skins winner, then there'll be 6 teams. I mean, that means that one of those teams is not, or 2 of those teams are not even making semi-finals, which means they're only going to get 2 land wins, right? They're going to get 1 land win. They'll win the round of 16, but they won't win the quarterfinals. So whichever 2 teams make the final, get like 3 land wins or win the event, like from this group, they'll be the team that will probably sneak in as like number 10 in the ranking for Americas, because realistically, like, none of the North American teams are going to put in, well, some of them might, but they're not going to put in super deep runs at the other frag event because of the European teams, whereas this event has so little European or Brazilian teams, for example. It's going to be a lot easier to chain together some wins. So I think Fragville is going to be the event that decides most of the NA contingent, at least, you know, with Marsborn getting info. Like whoever out of like Marsborn getting info, Blue Jays, I think NRG are pretty secure anyway. I think they'll qualify. Like, they've got Pro League, they've got this. I know they pulled out of Draculand, but like, I think between Pro League and this, I think NRG will make their way through. Much like MAT, they'll qualify as well. So yeah, for like Marsborn getting info, Blue Jays, and then also Arctic and Fluxo. I know Fluxo are in the slots right now, but I think it could be very easy for Fluxo to fall out quite quickly. So let's have a quick look. Where are we at? Yeah, Fluxo are 1039, so they're in the slots, but like this gap is so small. Like Odic with like 2 land wins would overtake Fluxo. Fluxo with a few land wins would overtake NRG. We're pretty safe from Fluxo, but yeah, I mean, Fluxo, if the Fluxo have a decent Fragville, again, if they have a decent Fragville, they will probably qualify for the major. And it's significantly easier than the second Fragadelphia. So yeah, I think people are getting way too excited with the Blocktober and haven't really considered actually that Fragville is going to be way more valuable for the teams attending. So it's yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Especially, so if you've got, who is it? So you've got NRG, Fluxo, Blue Jays, Odic, Marsborn. Where's getting it? Is that getting? Yeah, that's getting info. So getting info needs to do a lot of work. Like, getting info need to win like multiple matches. In fact, I don't even think getting info will make it, like, based on this. Like, they've got to basically like win Knoxville and do decently at Blocktober. I think getting info are probably pushing it too far, but Marsborn for sure, Odic for sure, Blue Jays, Fluxo, like those 4 teams attending Fragville and NRG, obviously, they definitely are all well within contention if they have a good run at Fragville. I think that's pretty clear to me now. So yeah, I'll say it here now. Fragville is going to be the main deciding event for the North American and Brazilian teams. There you go. Just because I don't think that I just think that teams attending this event are just going to get so much more value out of it than teams attending this event. Again, we're going back to like what, 9Z, Bestia, us, getting info. How high are Sharks? Sharks are 14th. Wildcard are in there, obviously. Like, it's going to be interesting, right? Like after Fluxo, NRG, Blue Jays, Odic, and Marsborn play, you're then going to get 9Z, Wildcard, Sharks, Marsborn, Bestia all playing, and us. So like, it's going to be. I think it's going to be fun. But I still think Knoxville is going to be the one because these teams have to play against so many more European teams, and that's just makes it comically harder. Yes, exactly. Right, I think I missed a few questions. So I'm just going to quickly scroll up and just see if there's anything. Here we go. Okay, this looks like a good question. Not specifically because it contains liquid, but just because it looks like a good question. Right. Do you think it is realistic for the next major cycle? Jack Soon from Twitch. When you say next major cycle, do you mean the Budapest major cycle, like the current major cycle, or do you mean the next one for Cologne in 2026? If you could just answer that question, I will answer this question to clarify, because there is definitely some nuance to this question now. But let's just assume you mean you just confirmed. So you just confirmed, everyone here, after Budapest. So for Cologne, to get the NA slot back. When you say to get the NA slot back, do you mean just to be an NA team, or do you mean like to earn a major slot for NA? Do you think it is realistic for the next major cycle that Liquid switch a European player for an NA player? Probably Nert's IGL, because IGL and Orpa hard to replace to get the NA slot back. So let's just cover one thing quickly, in case that is the question. Liquid do not hold an NA slot in any way. When they play Budapest as a European team, if they earn a slot as a European team, e.g. if they finish in stage 3 or in the playoffs, which playoffs would earn a stage 3 slot, stage 3 would earn a stage 2 slot. If they do that as a European team, this event in Budapest, and then they switch to being a North American team, they wouldn't, or an America's team, let's say, they would not transfer that slot back to them. So the slot would still remain European if they have success. If the question is, do you think it's realistic they switch back to being a North American team so they can qualify as a North American team to Cologne? I think it is unrealistic at this time, but crazier things have happened. I think it's more likely they go all in on being European than they transition back to being North American. That is based purely on my gut intuition, but that would be my feeling just based on the fact they've got so much invested into being European right now, and realistically they're probably looking at the North American talent available. And my personal opinion, based on how Liquid operate their team, is that they don't want to be the best in North America. They want to be the best in the world. And they've obviously got NAF, they've got Twists. They could get Elige back, but I think it's unlikely. If you take those three out of the equation, they are unlikely to get the level of talent that would allow them to replace any of their European players and maintain their current level. So even if their current level is not good enough in Europe, they would still need to get Europeans to achieve the level of performance that they want to achieve. Because Liquid don't want to just be the best in North America, right? They want to be top 5 in the world. They want to be, globally one of the best teams. they're going to look at the North American talent pipeline and say like, yeah, we could do it like for 6 months or 1 year. You know, if we get a Liege back or something, they could maybe make it work. But then they still have to think about, okay, and then after that, what happens? Like, you know, they can't rely on like a, you know, they can't rely on like Team Spirit having like a constant train of freaking godlike Russian speaking players, right? So yeah, basically, I think that they would look at the kind of the future proofing of the plan and say it's not going to be good enough for us to sustain this long term, which is essentially the problem they've run into already, right? They couldn't replace a Liege with a top North American rifler, and they went down the European rabbit hole. They sort of sat on the fence a little bit with their Asian North American JKS Nerds, whatever the fuck it was, mix, which ultimately Valve correctly stopped. So yeah, I think they're already too deep down the rabbit hole of Europe to revert back, and even then the prospect of going back to North America isn't really that great due to the lack of talent available and the lack of the pipeline of talent. You can't look a year, 2 years in the future and think like, oh, you know, we're going to get another you know, player of the caliber of Elige or Twist or NAF. And you know, that is just the sad truth. I think that there have been no breakout players really since those guys, and it's been 7 years or something since those guys kind of broke out, right, in 2018-19. So yeah, I mean, that's just the truth of it. I think the one player that could maybe have come close to that would have been Obo. Obviously Obo, former Complexity player. Yeah, he's obviously around still, but mostly just in Face It Pugs and things like that. But yeah, I think that's just the sad truth of it, really. Ingus Disma, it's really sad that you ignore messages everywhere, but I wish you all the best anyways. What messages have I ignored? Can you enlighten me? Sorry, I don't see a message from you in this chat, at least. Sorry if I've missed something. I don't miss things on purpose. I try to respond to everything I can, at least everything I see, or everything I don't wake up at like 4 a.m. and accidentally, which is mostly messages from my wife and things like that. Okay, Bandycat quickly. Yeah, Marsborn has been getting decent results online. Yes, I think Marsborn have been on a decent run of form recently. I think the issue for Marsborn will be lack of experience against European teams will hold them back a ton at Frag Block. So they need to get their form and their, I don't know, they need to get their wins and their form right at Frag Knox if they're going to stand any chance at how do you say, yeah, achieving what they need to at Frag Block. Wait, shots fired. Sorry, did I say something? Oh, was that about my wife? Sorry. What are your general thoughts on the Blast Bounty setup? Yeah, so I've got a lot of thoughts on the Blast Bounty setup. And so this is actually quite funny. So it's interesting you mentioned the 17th seed have a big scouting advantage. So when we played the first Blast Bounty, we flew into Europe like a few days before, and we were just getting as many scrims, like many good quality scrims as we could get. And so we were the 14th seed, I want to say. We were the 14th seed. And Virtus Pro were the 18th seed, so they were the second team to pick, and we must have scrimmed VP on like 5 different maps. I think we scrimmed them like 6-7 times on like 5 different maps in the space of like a week, and then VP picked us straight away. And yeah, suffice to say, I mean, the games were close actually. If anyone like this was our very first match of the new team, so to speak. This was Danny and Nick's first ever match. I'll draw you back to it because it was actually quite a good match in the end. But yeah, it was this match. I think Dust 2, they kind of owned us. Oh, I mean, we were up 8-2, and then yeah, they kind of owned us on their T side. Our CT side was bad, their CT side was bad. We both kind of sucked. And then Train again. You know, I feel like at this point, 10-8 up, we probably could have won the game, and we didn't. And we lost both clutches that were available in that game. Yeah, it was a tough game, but yeah, basically VP. Oh, make it big. Yeah, basically VP scrimmed us a bunch and then went, hey, these guys kind of suck, like, let's play them. Or at least I assume that's what they did in their head, right? So, yeah, we kind of learnt that now. That, yeah, basically as soon as the seeding VRS passes, yeah, the team who's 17th gets a huge advantage in the fact that they can specifically prepare for one team. Like, basically, the further up the totem pole you are, not only do you get a more favorable matchup because you're picking weaker teams, you're also picking the exact team you want. So yeah, there's definitely some element of, I don't know if it's unfairness or anything like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing them do some kind of draft system where like the teams get kind of shuffled a bit. Like, I think that would improve it a little bit. I think the whole premise of the bounty kind of sucks, really, to be honest. Like, there's nothing that interesting about it for me, because most teams just pick the easiest available team that they can play. Like, it's better to win the match as securely as possible than it is to try and do something funky, right? Like, yeah, like, I know NRG picked Vitality when they could have played Mouse or something, but like that to me is like, you know, it's like it doesn't change anything, does it? Like, you're still fighting against like a freaking giant, right? So for me, like, even like put yourselves in our position right now. We were the 17th, we were the 19th seed, so we were the 3rd pick. If we beat Heroic, we were the very last match to play, right? So if we beat Heroic, and we would have been the only team to upset, but we still would have been the lowest seed in the second round, so we would have got Vitality by default again. Like, there's no incentive to pick a better team if you're a high seeded team, because you're just going to end up as the lowest seeded team in the next round anyway. So I think like the bounty sounds good on paper, but ultimately it's still going to be just the top seeds winning, and there's no real incentive to, I don't know, like I know they put the bounties like huge for the big teams, but nobody's going to realistically pick them. So yeah, I think the whole bounty is a waste of time. The only reason we played it was because we had nothing else to play, and we essentially got a free boot camp, or kind of a free boot camp out of it. But in all honesty, like, it's a waste of time, and if you're at a certain level, it's a waste of time. And the fact that we have to travel all the way to Europe to play a fucking online tournament is just a joke. And I can't believe that's still happening. I can't believe more TOs are trending towards that, because it's like, you know, it's actually just not worth going to a Blast Bounty when you can go to a Fragadelphia. Like, if you look at some of the teams that played Blast Bounty, like, there are weaker teams playing Fragadelphia, and, you know, some of these tier 2 European teams could have just gone to a Fragadelphia. And that's not saying anything negative about Philadelphia. Like, it's just a more valuable tournament than playing Blast Bounty. Like, there's no prestige in Blast Bounty. There's the only reason like the very top teams play it is because of the frequent flyer. Yeah. Oh, and the fact they get paid like 40k to attend. That's what I should do. I know what I'm going to do. Since it's all public, we can do it. I'll do that later. We can go through all the money that teams have earned. Like, the last I looked at, like, Vitality, we're up at, like, $850,000 for the year in just, like, pure club reward. Like, not prize money, like, that's, like, club reward, like, money to the team. Which I think has gone under the radar, I think, for a little bit. So, yeah. But yeah, ultimately the bounty is pretty much worthless as far as I can tell for most teams that attend it. I think most teams end up losing points. Even if they win matches, they still end up losing points, which kind of is the definition of a bad event. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 teams. 22 teams out of 32 teams lost points attending the Blast Bounty. .22 teams lost points. Of the teams that did win points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So this is just from the first stage. So of the 10 teams that did win points, 7 of them won single digits, like 3 points or less. Some of them only won 1 point. Only Virtus Pro, Astralis, and Liquid won double-figure points from the first stage. Now, obviously, if those teams have made the playoffs, which I believe Virtus Pro, Liquid, and Astralis all have, they can earn more points from the second stage. So that obviously is valuable. But from the first stage, essentially, 29 teams earned fuck all points. And 8 of 8 teams, so 5 of those teams that earned nothing, which are the best 5 teams in the world, basically, Maus, Mongols, Vitality, Spirit, Aurora, I assume. Aurora. And then Liquid, VP, Astralis are the 3 teams that actually earned credible points that made it worthwhile attending. If you're running an event where most of the teams lose points, it's probably not a great event. If the event was on LAN, one, the picking system would be infinitely more interesting to have, like, teams live in the room, shit talking each other. Look back at what, like, Flashpoint did. Like, look at, like, the old GSL picking ceremonies they used to have. Like, they were way more fun than this kind of crappy online interview thing they did. And the initial matches would actually be worth some points, which would just be valuable for the teams that have to fucking fly halfway across the world just to play a shit online tournament to make it be on LAN. There's no guaranteed prize money for finishing last as well, which I know that sounds controversial to say that you should get rewarded for attending and finishing last, but prize money finishing last does affect the VRS. And attending an event where it's single elimination and you can get no value to the VRS or negative value to the VRS is just, it's just going to be one of those things where people just go, oh, it's not worth attending, and they're just going to stop attending. So, yeah, the bounty sucks. The least said about that, the better, in my opinion. And, yeah, as you mentioned, the top seeds have a huge integrity issue with just being able to pick a team without them knowing, essentially. So, but I mean, most teams who are on the lower end are probably expecting to get picked. So, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. What else do we have? Let's just keep shitting on Blast while we're here, because we are here. And this one boggles my mind still. I can only assume that Valve forced them to do this, but I don't know.
I can only assume that Blast forced them to do this, because I can't fathom why I can't fathom why anyone would do what they did. So let's just jump in here. Sorry, I've got it on my screen up there for just a second while I was looking for it. Where is it? It's... no. Oh my god, I've got way too many. This one. Right, here we go. Let's just full screen this so you can read it. So, Open Change. Imperial Esports will now be playing at the Blast Open London. Due to Valve rules, Pain Gaming are ineligible to attend. Imperial will take the rising South America spot, with Legacy BR now taking a direct invite. More information below. Pain Gaming has been removed from participation in the Blast Premier Open Season 2. This decision follows Valve's official tournament rule 3.2.5c. We'll remember that one for a minute, which states that teams who have previously declined an invitation to the same tournament are not eligible to compete. So there's a few interesting things here at play, and we'll get to some of them in a minute. There's a few interesting issues with how they've said the same tournament here, but there's a conflict between Valve's rules and Blast's rules, but we'll get to it. Pain initially declined their direct invitation to the South American closed qualifier for Blast Open Season 2, which is, in their eyes, considered the same tournament in this regard. As a result, they're ineligible to participate in the Open. The team has been informed of this decision, and their invitation passes to the next team in invitation date with the VRS ranking, blah, blah, blah. With Legacy next in line for the direct invitation, their closed qualification spot now passes to the South American runner-up Imperial. So this part is maybe questionable because Legacy had already qualified. You would argue that actually Legacy should keep their slot and the slot should go to the next VRS team, which I think would have been MIBR. So it would have been a Brazilian team either way. But I think in my mind, if the team is already qualified through another means, you then just move to the next VRS team rather than promoting a team and then promoting another team. That just seems that wonky to me. How did that car tweet get 55 likes? I don't know. But yeah, so let's just remind ourselves. 3.2.5c, Valve's official tournament rules. So then this is my tweet. Your event doesn't even use a version of the TOR where this rule exists. The rule was added on March 25th, 2025, since all tournaments use the TOR version based off the additional information deadline, for which the Tier 1 events is 10 months prior to the event. It's impossible to have this rule applied to your events this year. So, yeah, let's dive into all that stuff. So, everyone's probably well aware of this document by now. It is the Tournament Operations Requirements. We looked at it earlier. There was an update earlier as we looked at, but the rule in question is this one here. Directly invited VRS rosters may only accept an invitation to the tournament if the roster has not previously declined an invitation to the same tournament. The rule is there. I don't question that. The issue is relating to this bit. The following rules shall apply to all Counter-Strike 2 tournaments. The version of the Tournament Operations Requirement, which is this document that we're in, that apply to a tournament is the version that was current as of the tournament's additional information deadline. So, additional information deadline. Cool. So, we scroll all the way down. Here we go. The additional information. Tournament operators shall publish the following additional information no later, so any time prior to 10 months before the tournament main event for Tier 1 and wildcard tournaments. So, the Blast Open Fall begins on the 5th of September. The 5th of September. So, 1 month would be August, 2 months would be July, 3 months would be June, 4 months would be, I'm running out of months, May, April, Doing months in reverse is hard, man. March, February, January, December, November. So November, right? So 10 months, November. That means that June, no, March, no, March, no, March, no, March. Yeah, okay. Let's just, I mean, November 5th. Technically, that is exactly 10 months away, right? November 5th. So let's open this one up. And you'll notice that the rule that they quoted, which, it's not here, so I can't show it to you, but it's not in there. It was 3.2.5c, which is now tier 2 events. They restructured this whole document in like February, so it's not there. So the rule they are quoting was added here in update to invitation requirements. Rosters accepting invites must satisfy the same criteria that generated the invite. Cool. Thanks, Edo. So you can see here, they did a bit of a reshuffle of all the stuff, but the main thing here is this was added on March 25th. And the rule that they're citing is this one here. The roster has not previously declined an invitation to the same tournament. Just so you're aware, if it's in green, that means it's been added in this revision. If it's in red, it means it's been deleted in this revision. So the rule that they are using is from a version of the rulebook that is 6 months prior to their additional information. Well, 6 months prior to their event. And they're using the rulebook that is 10 months prior to their event. Which means that Blast just backtracked on themselves to use a rule that doesn't apply to their own event. Because they're not on this version. They don't use this version of the rulebook. Like, they're just not using this version. They're not using this version or any newer version. So I don't understand how they managed to do this, but you can clearly see there's a little green bit there. The roster has not previously declined an invitation to the same tournament. So I don't know what Blast are doing, but this is just plain wrong. This is just wrong. Like, this rule does not apply to their event. Like, this whole decision is wrong. Like, Payne should have the slot. It's pretty fucking clear to me. It's pretty clear to anyone with the brain who can read a rulebook that version of the rule does not apply to their event. Yeah. Of course, the irony in all this, right? The irony in all this is who did accept an invite to the European qualifier and then subsequently did manage to benefit from this was obviously Team Liquid, right? Because Team Liquid, as you can see here, Team Liquid replaced the Mongols when they had visa issues. Blast Rising EU, obviously Liquid lost to VP Prodigy. But because they didn't decline the invite, they still got to go. Hello, B-Trams or Smart Backwards. They got to go. Oh, while we are on the topic of VP Prodigy, let's... Oh, wrong one. They changed it, didn't they? Handbook. So, this is an interesting... wrong button. This is an interesting... I don't know if it's a philosophical question, but it's an interesting question on whether... so this is Blast's Handbook 2025. It got updated in July. This is the July updates version. And yeah, interestingly, Blast added an undocumented change within this rulebook, where they changed one line of a rule, and it's the rule right here. Oh no, where is it? I've lost. It's down here somewhere. I'm just going to find it. I know if I scroll it, I'll find it. No. Yeah, it's in. No, it's not in this section. Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to search. Multi. Here. Multi-roster teams. No team may field more than one roster at an event. No team may field more than one roster at an event. So if like this is like, I just want to clarify, I don't think that Blast necessarily fucked up here, but it's an interesting proposition between, so Blast say that you can't have more than one roster at an event. Here they say that a team who has previously declined an invitation to the same tournament, which would be the same event, are not eligible to compete. So if in one side of the rules it's considered the same tournament and the same event, which is Pain initially declined their invitation to the South American closed qualifier for Blast Open Season 2. So they're saying that the South American qualifier for Blast Open Season 2 is the same event as the main event. If that is the case, then no team may field more than one roster at an event. But then you factor in that VP Prodigy, the academy team of Virtus Pro, played in the European qualifier of Blast Open Fall, which is in Valve's eyes considered the same event as Blast Open, which has Virtus Pro in it. So when is the same event not the same event? Now, I should clarify, Blast rulebook does have some pretty good definitions in. So they write, or it's at the bottom, isn't it? Because they, for some reason, they do all their definitions at the end. So you read through the whole rulebook and then you have to find the definitions at the end. Where is it? Here we go. So they consider... So event means each event of the circuit as set out in the format and further detailed in the tournament. So that doesn't really give you that much, right? Event is each event of the circuit. So I looked up something about the circuit, and the circuit bit is here. So this is very confusing because now they classify them as events, plural. So that's not the same definition as event because they've clarified it like this with a capital letter. That means it's clarified separately. So event and events. Blast Open is a big arena event that provides a truly global route for all teams from all Counter-Strike regions and the opportunity to shine against the world's best teams. So that doesn't include the qualifier in theory because it is the big arena event. And each circuit includes 6 events. Two, cool, yeah. And then there was one more reference to this which just confuses things a little bit more. Oh yeah. Oh no, this is the worst. I feel really sorry for what I'm about to do. So you have eligible teams and you have ineligible teams, and you have eligible players and you have ineligible players. And I think it's in this definition, which is way further down here. Yeah, I think it's down here somewhere. Yeah. So this is FFP. I'm looking for the normal ineligible. Here we go. So an ineligible participant. I'm really sorry, John. An ineligible participant is a participant for whom one of the following applies: is under the age of 16, serving a ban imposed by Blast or ESIC or any other applicable recognized by Blast or ESIC. They've been VAC'd within the previous 2 years, or they have a direct or indirect financial interest, whether through holding the shares or otherwise, in any of the other professional teams, esports teams, excluding the team they represent, participating in any Blast qualifier, the Open, closed qualifier, or Blast Premier event. So what we can see here is that they consider a Blast qualifier or the Open closed qualifier to be separate from a Blast Premier event. We can now say that Blast at least consider that separate. So the multi-ownership for Virtus Pro is not a problem, But in the rabbit hole, what I've now discovered is that Elige is an ineligible participant for this event, which so the interesting thing is with Valve and their conflict of interest, they ask you to declare the conflict of interest, and then they will decide if they consider it a problem. When Elige was on our team, he owned something like 0.0143% of Team Liquid. It is such an incredibly minor stake of Team Liquid that the financial incentives to not act in his own best interests, which also aligns with Complexity's best interest, was essentially null. Like there's no way that his actions would be more financially beneficial for him to benefit Team Liquid, essentially. So in my eyes, it was never a problem. We made that very clear to him. Valve approved it multiple times that he was allowed to participate in the same events as Team Liquid and play against Team Liquid. So Valve had no issues with this. But Blast's rule has no leeway. It just says if you have any shares, you're fucked. Which is interesting, right? Again, it's one of those things where, have Blast forgotten to apply their rules? Have Blast given them an exception? Where is the transparency? Like, I just want to clarify, I am not asking for Elige to be banned from Blast. I think it is completely fine that he plays from Blast. What is not completely fine is Blast not applying their rules, or Blast not being transparent about not applying their rules. Because this would be the easiest place to be transparent about it. Because it's a problem that's already been happened. It's already approved by Valve. Like, just be transparent about it, and be transparent about all of the ones that you've allowed or haven't allowed. But based on this rule and the fact that we've had no question whether they've had an exception, Elige should not be playing Blast events that Team Liquid are also playing, which would be the next Blast Fall Open. It would also have been the Blast Bounty, which just played. Like, again, I just want to clarify, I am not asking for Elige to be banned. What I would like is a proper application of the rules, and for the rules to make sense. Yeah, essentially, I found this rule. Well, I didn't find this rule because of that. I found this rule because I was trying to find a reference to the qualifiers being separate to an event, which, weirdly enough, this is the one place in their rulebook where it does specify the open-close qualifier is not an event, because it clarifies the Blast Premier event as a separate thing to the open-close qualifier, which sort of redeems the VP fiasco, although I would have liked to have known what Blast's solution would have been if they had qualified, if VP Prodigy had won. I'm curious here, actually, hold on. If a team is unable to fill a roster of eligible players, no. So interestingly, an ineligible team isn't a multi-ownership team, because none of these refer to the multi-ownership clause. Right, because I'm pretty sure paragraph 3.6 to 3.7 is not the multi-ownership rule. No, it's not. It's 2.6 is the multi-roster teams. So, interestingly, you don't become an ineligible team by having multiple rosters. Anyway, enough about Blast rulebook. It's pretty fucking horrible to read in every aspect, because it's like backwards and forwards, and all the definitions that you need at the start of the rulebook to understand what they're referring to are all at the end of the rulebook, and you have to go back and forward, and it's a horrible thing to read. Yeah. Yeah. What else did we run into recently? Just get 2 screens. Bro, I have 3 screens. I've got way too many screens. Yeah, what else did we have happen recently? Oh, while we're here, there is one thing we really need to talk about, guys. Oh, you're talking about two screens for the rulebook. Yeah, I mean, usually I have one screen with the rulebook, and then I have one screen with like the team list and everything else, and that's why I'm trying to figure out the I'm looking at the rulebook while looking at the team list and looking at the rankings and trying to figure out like what the fuck have they done. Yeah, we've got something we really need to talk about, guys. It's really important. It's the NA Prize Pick Revival Series. I don't even know what number we're up to yet. Is it 7? Are we up to 7? I don't know what number we're up to, but it is important that you go play the NA Revival Series. I know compared to a Fragadelphia, they seem insignificant, but I promise you, you can earn VRS points. They will be valuable. You can play against your favorite teams. You can get streamed by Flom. Head over to this Faceit link, or do you know what? I'll even send this in the chat. Can I send this in the chat? Oh shit! Can I send this in the chat? Yeah, I can. Look at that. Boom. Oh, I'm complexity in this chat. Look at me. Okay, do you know what? I'll send it in YouTube as well. Boom. Can I send it on Twitter? No, can't send it on Twitter. Anyway, yeah. Head over to there. This tournament is August 15th to 17th, which is in a few days. Open qualifiers on the 15th, and then the are we back on GSL groups again? No, we're on straight single elimination again now. So open qualifiers is on the 15th, and then it's single elimination, so quarterfinals on the 16th, and then semifinals and final on the 17th. I'm sure we'll be revealing the invites to that event very shortly, and you should head over there and sign up. It's one of those things where it benefits North America to see all the teams signed up. It benefits benefits us, benefits the sponsors. Go ahead and join. I'm not very good at the whole pitching these kind of things. Or who wants to see what my one message in my DMs is? Ooh. I kind of do. Oh, I can actually see it. Okay, it's a juicy one. It's a juicy one. Right. Here we go. Why are American AWPers so bad? So that's obviously a loaded question, because I don't think that all American AWPers are bad. Obviously, I've said somewhat the opposite in the past, when I've been quite clear that I don't think there are North American AWPers who are ready to make the jump to tier 1. Just want to clarify, I'm going to take a pill. It is an electrolyte. Fast chews, because I'm sweating like a pig here. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Each fast chew has 50 milligrams of sodium, 15 milligrams of potassium, 5 milligrams of calcium, and 3 milligrams of magnesium. And essentially, I sweat a lot, and I need to replenish my electrolytes. And these tasty, lemony, sugary things are pretty good for that. So they're okay. I feel like I'm doing an ad reel here, but they're natural, non-GMO, gluten-free, and sweetened with stevia, and they're vegan apparently. So yeah, look at me. Cool. Hello, Fruit Cup. You're back again. It looks like you've raided. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Why are American AWPers so bad? Again, loaded question. I don't think all American AWPers are bad. I'll put the question up again. I think the issue is the jump from the top of North America to tier 2 Europe and beyond is just huge. And it's very hard to give someone enough time to see if they can make that jump. And if you're a team that is trying to make that jump yourselves, it's like the difference between playing against the top of North America and the like even like a decent tier 2 European team in a scrim will just be like light and day. Like the peaks you go for, the way you play will just have to completely change basically. Like the play style for a North American AWPer doesn't really translate into playing against more elite teams. And I think that there aren't enough, how do you say it? Like no player really has enough time and opportunities to get like a fair chance at trying to adapt to that. I think that essentially like a player would have to go and live in Europe on their own like steam to like learn it for like 6 months before someone can go like, oh, I think this guy can hang, I think this guy can do it. But like if you put yourself in like, we obviously had Junior for 6 months and we were in Europe a lot of those 6 months and we were boot camping and we were practicing and we gave him what I would consider a pretty fair shot, and ultimately it wasn't working, right? OC got a lot longer on Liquid, and I think did a pretty reasonable job for the time he was there. He wasn't lights out top 5 AWPer in the world, but like he was, serviceable and did a pretty good job. And those are really the only 2 North American AWPers that have had a chance in the last 4 years. So, realistically, like the only teams that any of those AWPers could have had a chance on would have been us and would have been obviously Liquid. Now, like just to be completely honest, like none of the teams in North America, not including Liquid because they're not North American, but like us, M80, who obviously have Slacks already, Wildcard who had Fuzi and now Friend, and NRG who now do have Zotic. So NRG with Zotic might be the buck of the trend. Be interesting to see how they are in 6, 8, 12 months. But like realistically, none of those teams or none of these teams, including us, are in Europe to the same extent that we were back in 2022, 2023, 2024. And when you do get like, put yourselves in like NRG or M80's shoes, when you do get that one Pro League event, which is basically the only LAN event that either of them is going to get, like an international LAN event that either of them is going to get for the entire season, apart from the major, right? They're going to get Pro League, they're going to get the major, and then like maybe M80 makes it through Thunderpick, or maybe M80 makes it through the Blast Fall Open. But like they've got one LAN event basically for the entire season. Like can you go to that event, one, expecting that player to make the step up, but two, risking it on a player that you're not confident with, right? Now, obviously NRG have had a little bit extra with Slack, so they do have some understanding, but like, sorry, not Slack, Zotic, M80 obviously have Slacks. But, there are not many chances, right? So I think that it's just one of those things where nobody is going to be able to give that next North American AWPer the chance because the risk is so high. And because of that, the players are just going to stay in North America. The honest answer is North American AWPers need to be playing like European AWPers against North American players and trying to emulate that without sort of degrading their play style into just dicking on North American players, which is very easy, supposedly, because every North American AWPer just destroys their opponents, but when they go to European competition, they can't do anything. So that would be my sort of long-winded way of saying North American AWPers need to just play a different game. Will you address the very serious choking allegations? All right, I'll bring it up for you because it's fair and it's a good bit of research and it's interesting and it's fun and it happened, and we need to own our mistakes as much as we own our successes, right? Where did you post it? Fuck, you post a lot of shit. Here we go. All right. B-trams, smart backwards. Here it is. Complexity choking problem. In 2025, in A tier plus Liquipedia tournaments, when it gets to a close game, so when it gets to 13-10, 13-11 or overtime, we only win 27% of our matches. We win 56% of maps won after leading at half time. 10% of close maps won after leading at half time. So basically, if the match gets close after we're leading at half time, we only win 1 out of 10, which is pretty rough. We're ranked last in all these metrics out of teams with at least 25 maps played. So, yeah, I mean, this is... What is that? Fucking hell. It's pretty damning, to say the least. I seem to remember you actually sent me a list. Hold on, let's have a look. I didn't get time to go to it yet, but I think you sent it to me on Discord, right? Yeah, you did. All right, here we go. So, you did send me a list of the teams. Right, look, how hard can it be? Yeah, so what I was curious about, and I got the list here, thank you for sending it to me. Obviously, if you think that we're playing against teams who are ranked above us, we tend to go into most of these events as like one of the lower seeds. If you're losing matches like 13-10, 13-11, that necessarily isn't a bad thing against a better team. So you sent me a list here of these are all the times you guys led at halftime and lost this year before the bounty. Okay, so starting from... Wait, these are not in order. Oh, these aren't... Bro, these aren't in freaking time order. Okay, so the first one was against Virtus Pro, which we looked at earlier. Let me just bring this onto my main screen. First one was against Virtus Pro. We had 8-4 at halftime. We lost 10-3 on Dust 2. We covered that one earlier. So at that point, Virtus Pro were a significantly more established team than us. They just spent 7 figures on Flammus. I spent 0 figures on getting 60 and Nyx from ESEA Advanced. So not quite teams in the same position, I would say. So yes, it sucks, but we were clearly the underdog there. The next one would have been 8-4 to 15-19 against Eternal Fire on Train, which, I mean, we 100% threw that map. Like, we should have beaten Eternal Fire on Train. We threw that map completely. But again, Eternal Fire were like, what, a top 6 team in the world, made every single playoffs of the year. So again, that was like a week after the bounty. That was like our second ever match together. That was our first match at Katowice. So it was our first LAN match for like Nyx and 60 at like a tier 1 event. So yeah, rough to lose, but also not necessarily unexpected in that regard. What's next? I can see you typing. Are you gonna... Okay, hold on. Yeah, so next would be PGL Cluj-Napoca. So 7-5 to 8-13 against Virtus Pro again on Dust 2. Again, similar situation. 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after the Blast Bounty, lost to Virtus Pro. I don't consider that to be too crazy. I mean, what's bad about that is we went from 7-5 to 8-13, so we only got 1 round on. You've edited it into the right order. Cool. Yeah. We only got 1 round on our second half, which is bad. I don't disagree with that, but yeah, it is what it is. Next up, 7-5 to 9-13 on Dust 2 again against G2, one of the best teams in the world with Munazi. At that point, that was at PGL Bucharest again. Don't consider that to be too crazy of an upset, considering they have Munazi. 8-4 to 11-13 on Inferno against FaZe. We should have won that game. We threw that game, but again, it's FaZe. I mean, we shouldn't be winning the game. That was in the 3rd place decider, that one. That was rough. But again, right now we've played against essentially a bunch of teams who are way better than us. The only... I just realized I missed the Saw one. So we were 9-3 up against Saw and we lost against the dead team. That was embarrassing. That was seriously embarrassing to lose that game. yeah, we did 9-3 CT half, and then we got, yeah, I think we like won the pistol, won the conversion. We were 11-3 up, and then we lost 12-16. That was embarrassing. We should never have lost that game. Yeah, that was terrible. So chronological order again. 7-5. We end up losing 11-13 against Tai Lu on Inferno. So did we start T side or CT? I can't remember if we started T side or CT side in that game. But 7-5 on Inferno is not really like an advantageous position, I don't think. And Tai Lu, ended up getting to stage 3, nearly making playoffs. I think at the time we played them, it was a pretty even game, so I'd say that's a pretty bad loss. So we've got the Saw one and we've got the Tai Lu one for sure. 8-4 to lose Dust 2 against Big. 13-16 at Fisher Playground 1. Are you sure it was on Dust 2? I thought we threw a different map against Big. I thought we threw Train against Big or something. Am I crazy? Maybe I just don't remember the game very well. Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, we were up on their map and we lost it. And then we were down on our map and we won it. We should have won the opposite maps, basically. Yes, I remember that now. Yeah. So that's, yeah. So that again, I think goes in the oh, that's a fuck up situation. Can I just say though? Can I just say? Can I just say, in the third map of that series, we were down 10-5 and we still won 13-10. So just want to say we did come back and clutch in that series. So it's not all mental, right? It's not all mental, because in the same series, not only did we throw a lead in the first map, which we did in both of the first games, right? So against Bet Boom we threw Train, and against Big we threw Dust 2. Then we ended up winning the second maps and then winning the third maps. So while our mental is kind of bad in an isolated map, we did end up coming back to win the next 2 maps in both those series and win both the series. So I just want to say, it's not all bad. Yeah, but that was bad. I agree. Going 8-4 to 13-6 against Big on Dust 2, we definitely should have won that map. Yeah, we just had a bad T side, but we were 12-8 up, and then we threw like 2 rounds in a row, and then we ended up getting our economy fucked, and then we just lost. 8-4 to 16-9 against Saw on Nuke. Yes, that was a colossal throw of epic proportions against the team that we should have been beating. And yeah, we regret that one heavily. Sorry, my throat's got a bit funny. Yeah, I mean, we were 12-8 up again on that map, and what was it we did? There was a round where it was like a 4v3. We went lower, and just nobody cleared Mutiris on single door, and we just fucked up. We just played like shit. And then 7-5 against Tai Lu on Ancient. I mean, Tai Lu at that point were a pretty, concrete elite team by that point. Like, we were definitely the underdogs going into that match. So yeah, I mean, the Saw game, the Big game, the first Tai Lu game, and the first Saw game. So of the what, how many did you give me? These are all the times you've led at halftime and lost this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would say 6 of them we were very clear underdogs. Fruit Cup, he's not for sale. You can't even ask them about trying to buy him. He's just not for sale. They refuse to entertain any offers. Actually, they said that for every single player, all 5. This was back in December. I literally messaged them and they just said, we're not selling anyone. They didn't even let me ask a question. Mischief, he's in the same situation he's always been in, but we're now in the 8th month of his 6 to 8 months estimated wait time. So we're hoping that will be resolved soon. But the active roster situation is Holzek is playing until we confirm otherwise. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so 6 matches we completely threw. 6 matches we lost against higher tier opponents where you wouldn't be considered to be the favorite, and even getting to OT, I guess, could be considered pretty good. And then so 1, 2, 3. So 6 to 4 basically. It's whatever, I guess. Like the worst thing is the 4 that we did lose against the teams that we should have been beating were painful ones. Like Tyloo at the major. Okay, so the big one at Fisher didn't matter that much because we still won the series, but the Saw one was a quarterfinal and pretty huge financially. Plus the heroic one with the stand-in. Oh yeah, that's the heroic one with the stand-in. But that, you hadn't sent that yet, so I wasn't including it. Like, I know that one was bad too. Ingus Dimza, have you found a coach? No, not right now. We're still coachless. We're still looking, still trying to find a coach who fits all of our requirements. And yeah. I mean, more VRS active roster, as in, does he get the minimum matches if he misses frag? So that depends on if the Fragadelphia has the full event covered. So typically, frag for HLTV has only been covered from playoffs only, which is round of 16, round of 8, round of 4, final, round of 2, which is obviously 4 matches, which means that Holzerk would have played the previous 6 matches, which is Draculan, and then wouldn't have played 4 matches. But if HLTV extend the coverage to the group stage, then frag will have 6 matches. If frag has 6 matches, then we need to do some creative subbing, to say the least. So just so everyone is aware of what the question he's asking is. So the VRS active roster and the minimum matches relates to which players are shown on the VRS, the GitHub VRS, let's say, on the ranking update day. Because frag block is the day before the ranking update, whatever roster plays at frag block potentially will be the roster that is ranked on the day after. If Holzerk doesn't get his visa to play at frag block, and frag block has coverage extended to all 6 matches, and we get through the groups, get through to the final, or get through to the semi-finals even, that would be 5 matches. If that happens, Holzerk would then be replaced on the roster, most likely. Certainly if he plays 6 matches, he will definitely be replaced on the roster, because he won't have played 5 of the last 10 matches for the team. Which obviously, if that happens, means that because of the way Valve have changed the major invites, it is now the 5 players who are ranked on the roster at the day of the invite that get invited to the major, and you cannot make any roster changes. So in that situation, sorry, I'm just closing my window a little bit. In that situation, Holzerk would then not be part of the roster that gets invited to the major. So okay, so I guess it's the opposite of pulling a Stewie, because now you have to play 5 matches. It kind of protects you from that a little bit. But yeah, obviously for us, because it's a visa region, it's clearly not us trying to abuse something. But essentially it would mean that the sub that we played Fragadelphia with would be the player who got the stickers for the major, and Holzerk would have to be the sub player. So it's not like we can't play the major with the players we need to play with, but it'd obviously be unfortunate for Holzerk. I mean, you could argue that he got stickers he shouldn't have got at Austin, so this would kind of be evening things out. But yeah, obviously we would like Holzerk to be part of the roster. What I think is potentially likely to happen is that pending me figuring out the Fragadelphia rulebook, we would use a sub for one of the group stage matches, which would somewhat protect us against this. Obviously, that's pending. That's pending a few things. One, the rulebook allowing it in terms of frags, rulebook allowing subs, and two, in terms of, which I think it does because I've seen teams have to switch out players mid-event, and two, whether we have an opponent essentially that we can risk playing with a sub. So otherwise there might have to be just a tactical forfeit. Yeah, could have to be just a very weird tactical forfeit in the quarterfinals of Fragadelphia once we've got our 4 wins. We'll see. I'm hoping it won't come to that. I'm hoping Halsey gets his visa. We'll be approaching 10 months by the time it happens. But to be honest, the estimate we got was under the Biden administration, and now it's the Trump administration. So I don't know if Doge has. Yeah. Mischief, the forfeit wouldn't screw us if we registered the sub for the forfeit. Who determines the roster that forfeited? Yeah, we could sub back in the player essentially for the quarterfinals. So we play 2 group stage matches, round of 16, round of 8. So it'll be the semi-final we get to. But yeah, essentially we would sub back in the other player and maybe not forfeit or something. But yeah, we would have to rotate around the players to ensure that we didn't play 5 matches with that player. I did see your message. I'm going to bring it up. Wait, hold on. Chunk Gamer God is your YouTube Sawyer. Is that the same person? Because those are 2 wildly different usernames for 2 different platforms. If that is the same person, because you reposted the post from YouTube. So I just want to clarify. Like, I don't know if this is the same person, but if it is, I love the fact that you have 2 wildly different usernames. Do I think CSE Perfect will get sanctioned by Valve? No, I believe 2 things. The first thing is that the reason that Valve added a new rule today, which is this one right here. I believe the reason this rule here was added, verifiability of date publication, I believe this was added to counter what Perfect World are claiming they did. I believe there's been some element of slots being announced and then maybe being unannounced or changed or modified, and this is Valve's answer to resolving that. I do fully believe now that Valve have approved what Perfect World have done. Whether that's right or wrong is, well, it's wrong. It's just clearly wrong. And even if they now have changed their slots, which they have now changed twice in the last 4 weeks or 3 weeks, they should be using an updated VRS, and they're not. So no matter which way you think about it, they're still breaking a rule because they're not using the updated VRS after changing the slots, even if their original slots were something, whatever. That should hopefully fix it. Perfect World's definitely getting away with a slap on the wrist and maybe some element of them claiming that they never announced something when they maybe did, and Valve are now saying this is now you have to start posting these things on websites that they can verify the time and date, and you can't edit, post, and stuff like that. Mischief, who do they slap hard? Well, CCT and all those other guys at the start of the year, Yala, and for not inviting teams on their hidden blacklist. You can also argue that CAC themselves did get slapped pretty hard because they had to downgrade their event from They already had to downgrade their event from tier 1 to tier 2, so we can somewhat say that they already did get slapped pretty hard with what they changed, but that still doesn't give them the right to just ignore the rules and invite from the wrong VRS and everything else. So yeah, it is what it is. One second. Sorry, just give me 2 seconds. Okay, never mind. Nothing important. Sorry, I'm getting like ping, ping, ping. Yeah, so I just want to clarify what CCT and Yala and those guys did for using like the blacklist is wrong. The reason those teams were on a blacklist was probably for a reason, but you still have to somewhat prove it. Yeah. I don't know which teams and which players were on that blacklist, and they probably somewhat deserve to be on there for something. But unless they can be transparent about it, it's yeah. From a fan's perspective, NA hasn't lifted any trophies except for with pure NA rosters, and Taliban has essentially died here. I mean, we lifted Dream ESL Challenger Jönköping with a South African who I consider grandfathered into North America, and literally the most North American looking AWPer there's ever lived. So, you know. Yeah. Do you think there has to be a shift in GMing conventional thought for GMs to consider risks on NA rookies again? I mean, what do you think I did? Like, 60 and Nyx were NA rookies. Like, I feel like we are shifting the convention. We are doing that, but there still is a developmental gap between a player coming from being a rookie to being a established tier 1 contending talent. And now the issue is that we're not getting the opportunities to play as much as we used to. And the same applies to M80, the same applies to Wildcard, the same applies to Energy, same applies to Blue Jays, to Marsborn. They're never going to get the consistent amount of opportunities to go and play in Europe and develop and become the players they potentially could be. So, I think it's pretty clear we've not taken a risk, but we've tried to go down the rookies route. So I don't know if that's necessarily aimed at us or if it's not aimed at anyone. I don't know. Wildcard have gone for Peeping, which I think is a good pickup. I think Peeping was the next player on that kind of conveyor belt of this guy deserves a chance to go and play. Obviously Wildcard have had their roster ups and downs. In the last, I guess that's the easiest way of putting it. In the last few weeks, I don't know who's going to be on Wildcard next week. Probably someone else, but I think there isn't a inherent bias against not picking up rookie players, but if you look at those, let's just take Slump for example. Like, we're not going to replace Halslock with Slump. NRG picked Zotic up, which I would consider to be a similar kind of risky rookie pickup. I mean, the guy has land dodged for whatever, what's in the past is in the past, but he's a risky rookie pickup. Slacks in M80, maybe you could justify. I think Slacks is a serviceable AWPer for M80's level. Whether he's going to take them to the highest level, I don't know, but he seems pretty content there. And then who's the last team? Wildcard. I mean, Wildcard promoted a rookie, is he Hungarian AWPer from their academy team. Maybe they could have been the ones to take the risk, but
it's yeah. Like I think there are still teams who are taking our friend's Polish. Who am I thinking? I'm thinking of Slend. Slend is Hungarian. Friend is Polish. Thank you. Yeah, I don't necessarily think there aren't players who are there aren't teams who are taking risks, but this sort of goes back to what I was saying before about the AWPers not being able, like you as a GM can't really risk your one shot of the season, which defines your entire season, on like, is this rookie going to work out? Like, it's so hard. Like, it's okay in North America to do that and to justify, taking a risk on developing a North American player for 6 months to a year to dominate North America. But if your aspirations are higher than that, you need results now. You can't rely on, oh, maybe this guy will be good in 6 months or a year, because if you don't get the results immediately, you're never going to play a LAN event for the next 5 months. And that's somewhat the experience we've had. We've attended more LAN events than most this year, mostly due to our little glow up we had during Bucharest, which secured us like the next 3 kind of events. But and I think you can see the development that like a guy like Nix has had, for example. Like, you can see that he has improved over the year as he gets more time. But we were obviously in a position where we had to make changes. Whereas if you're a team that doesn't have to make changes, do you then want to go and make a risky change for the sake of making a risky change? Like, we obviously were going to lose a Liege. Floppy needed to take a break. He's enjoying his break. I don't know how long his break is going to be. I don't know if he'll ever come back from his break, but he needed to take a break. He's on his break. We were on a break. So we had to make changes. I've been pretty open about this. Like, Nix and Sixy were not our number one team players. If we could have made buyouts, if teams were willing to make buyouts, we probably would have done that, because we wanted to succeed immediately. When it became clear that we weren't able to do that, we looked at the best options we had available, and they were always going to be risks. We could have picked up a European player. We didn't do it. We picked up 2 North American players. They were always going to be risks. They were always going to be free agents from the North American talent pool. I think we did pretty good in general. But like, if you're not in a team that is forced to be in that position, then it's very hard to justify it, I guess, is the simple answer. Because the one time you go to that event, you have to win. And yeah, unless you're forced into it, it doesn't really make sense to take a huge risk. I guess it's just a business thing, really. Like, it's okay, I guess, if you're in a conventional sports team where you are going to have another season at the same level, or like one season down. If you're in the football championship and or the Premier League, and you get demoted to the championship, that rookie is now going to be a good player in the championship and will develop. And you think of contracts in terms of 5 years rather than 1 year or 2 years. In the NFL, you can afford to, you've got 50 players on a roster. You can afford to develop a player over time and give them, short amounts of game time, develop them in time. But in North American Counter-Strike, you get that one LAN event, you get that one EPL, like Energy have got, you have to perform at it. So there's no, it's very cutthroat in Counter-Strike, which doesn't really cross over to conventional sports that well. So, yeah. Okay, hold on. Is a guy with surname like Strelchek or Jablanowski really American? I have tried to see if they have Polish passports. I have asked them so many times, find out where your Polish ancestry comes from, get your Polish passport, move to Europe. Ironically, Jablanowski does now live in Poland, but that's mostly out of convenience rather than his heritage. But yeah. Will you buy out a Liege if he got benched by FaZe? I mean, that's a loaded question, because I don't think he should get benched by FaZe. And I also don't think we would pay a buyout for him. But if the question is, would we have a Liege back if he was available to us and wanted to come, which I think both of those things are unlikely, it would have to be a consideration. I don't think that's
really a question. I mean, if you get a player like Elige and you can make him work in your team, I think you take the option there. But yeah. I guess the concern about results now kind of ties back to academy rosters, which have dried up to nothingness in NA since EG's disaster class. Yeah, I mean, EG did do something relatively successful with their academy rosters. I think EG slightly overcooked things. In the general idea of what EG were trying to do, if they were going to have like EG Black play in Tier 2 Europe and EG White play in Tier 2 North America, and then every 4 months just switch them over for like an ECL season or whatever it was, it would have been okay. But because they inexplicably, I assume financial, but then why start with two teams in the first place? They inexplicably decided to keep them both mostly in North America, which basically meant that only one team could play events. It just kind of didn't make sense. But, one of those teams did end up becoming the EG main team and actually wasn't the worst team in the world. That team being EG Black, I think it was. The one with the one that had like Junior, Rush, George, I can't remember who the other players were. Hexed? Junior, Rush, George, Hexed, and Walco, right? Had Walco before they got automatic. Yeah. That team was actually doing pretty good. As an academy team, that team was doing pretty good. And definitely could have, and as pointed out, was better than the main team for a few months. So, I think that arguably that was a successful academy project. I think the issue was that because they still had two teams, they had two academy teams and a main team, one of the academy teams became better than the main team. And yeah, I feel like the project could have been managed better, but the question is, like, obviously they got a bit of financial support, which allowed the team to continue and everything else, but would that team have existed in its own right if EG had done nothing at all? It's an interesting question. Like, academy teams do make sense, but they don't make sense in a North American system where, like, there's not a single North American team, with, I guess, currently the exception of us, because we're sort of actively avoiding playing North American tournaments, even though we are a North American team. We've just basically realized they're not worth playing because the risk is just so great, like, to lose. Like, with the exception of us, essentially every North American team is playing every North American tournament. So having an academy team would basically mean that your team can't play anything. And as long as that's the case, it's kind of pointless. Like, it works okay for Na'Vi Junior, but even we saw them get to the point where they were getting invites to the same events, or were close to getting invites to the same events where their main team was at which point I assume the junior players were like, hey, we're getting too good now, you need to sell us because we're going to hit a brick wall in a second, which, ultimately they did, and it was a very well managed team in that sense. Team Spirit Academy, kind of in the same position, I think. They haven't got the results on paper that Na'Vi Junior did, but they're definitely a very good team. So, Mao's Academy at one point were ranked higher than Mao Sports, the main team, and then they transitioned Xertion, Torji, Shui, JDC at the time. Then they transitioned those guys up to the main team. So yeah, academy teams can make a lot of sense, but there's just not enough depth in North America to make it make sense right now. I don't know for sure, but my understanding is it was just about 7 figures.
So Spirit Academy is done after Kaisuke left, and they loaned it Orbiter Heroic. Spirit Academy is far from done. Spirit Academy will rise again and will churn out some incredible Russian talents. And yeah, basically Spirit Academy will be fine. And their Spirit Academy's goal is not to be a top 20 team, it's to provide talent, right? And if you can be a top 20 team and you can sell the team, like Spirit has like 7 teams right now. Like we're scrimming like Spirit's freaking 15-year-old team, and they're fucking amazing. Like I don't think, like, people don't realize, like, Spirit have so many teams right now. Like we've scrimmed like multiple different Spirit Academy teams, and they're all fucking cracked. They're all insane, bro. Like, trust me. Like, I don't want to say too much, but like, they're insane. So like, don't worry about Team Spirit. Team Spirit are going to be fine. Like, they only list one team on their website. I see that now. Like, Team Spirit has like children and then more children playing for them, and they're all insane. Trust me. Don't worry about that. Are you hearing any rumblings surrounding Liquid, particularly management? No. I heard nothing at all. I don't worry about things like that. That's not for me to worry about. Hold on, I'm gonna find those fucking matches on our practice thing. Hold on. Show past matches. Yeah, so we've played Spirit Academy White, which is not the Team Spirit Academy one that you know. It's a different one. Bunch of children, as far as I can tell. But we've played another Team Spirit something. Hold on. Yeah, anyway, Team Spirit, they're insane. Don't worry about them. They're going to be just fine. It's actually kind of concerning how fucking good this team is. Okay, so they have Team Spirit Academy White and they have Team Spirit Academy Black. And both of those are below Team Spirit Academy that you have seen on HLTV. And they are all insane. Trust me. Just trust me on that one. They're all insane. Spirit Academy, this one. Yeah. We've also played the Academy team as well. But yeah. I would not worry about them. Wait, which team is this then? Curious. Okay. Is that the same team? No, it's not, right? Yeah, we've definitely played 2 different Spirit Academy teams, and they're both good. So do not worry about them. That's all I will say on that matter. Are you guys staying in Europe this whole time, or are they just flying in when there's tournaments? We are just flying in when there's tournaments. Sometimes we fly in a few days before tournaments to play boot camps, but for the most part, we are just playing from home because, boot camps are expensive, and we also have to worry about the amount of days we can spend in Europe. Well, technically we can spend days in Serbia and the UK and spread it out, but we also have to be aware of cost. Things are expensive to operate when you try and put multiple people into Europe weeks on end. So, we have to be reasonable within our means and operate within our own budgets. And yeah, but you can't deny that they fumbled with Kaisuke for how insane the academy is. He should have been promoted at the beginning of 2025 for either Zontix or Magix. It's subjective, I guess, to some degree, but
Yeah, you could make the argument that that's the case. At the same time, what you're suggesting is that Team Spirit win the major and then immediately make a roster change, which I think has, it shows some balls to do that. Obviously, shows a lot of balls to win a major and then make a roster change immediately afterwards. Is it the right thing to do? Questionable. I mean, Team Spirit won the major. They then won the Blast Bounty straight afterwards, which kind of confirmed them as the best team in the world quite clearly. They then made the final of Katowice and lost to Vitality. They then made semi-finals of Pro League. That Team Spirit team was not a bad team. So to say that they had to make an upgrade, it's not really for me to say. I think that obviously Kaisuke is a incredible talent. So you could make the justification that they should have made an upgrade. They should have made a change, not necessarily an upgrade, but a change. But at the same time, it's extremely tough to make a change like that when you are the best team in the world. The only time I can remember a team having the balls to do something like that was Vitality in 2023, where they cut Dupree for Flames, which, in hindsight, looking at it now, everyone can say was clearly a fucking generational move. But even then, on paper, it made a lot of sense, because Flames was a free agent. They got him for free. They didn't have to pay a transfer fee. It was the only time they were going to get a guy like that for a price like that. And they probably initially saved on salary. I'm assuming that Dupree was probably on a higher salary when he came from Astralis, along with Mega Skidzonic, than Flames initially signed for. Flames has re-signed with Vitality since then, so maybe it's evened out. But logically, I think they probably saved money and got a player who they can sign for multiple years, who wasn't approaching 30 years old. It was a clear sort of generational shift in their roster building. With Team Spirit, you'd basically be asking to replace a 21-year-old or a 19-year-old, I think Zontix was at the time, with a 16-year-old, which, I mean, most players peak in Counter-Strike around the age of 23, 24. Seems to be the given age. So, there is also an element of the players have to have experience. Can you run a team with two 16-year-olds on it? I don't necessarily think that. I play a lot of Football Manager, and in my Football Manager saves, I do build a team out of pure freaking 19-year-olds that I've brought over from Brazil and Argentina and freaking the Middle East and whatever. I build this crazy super team of wonder kids, but that's not real life, and it doesn't fully make sense. Zwei is 17. I'm not saying it doesn't all make sense. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily not make sense either. Whether we don't necessarily know that they've changed the players because of personal issues, whether it's to shake up the roster, maybe they wanted a different type of player. There could be a number of reasons why you make a roster change. It's not all about age. I think the main thing is I was comparing it specifically to Vitality's issue, where Dupree was approaching 30, Flames was 21. Realistically, Flames has 8, 9, 10 years of his career left. Dupree does not. But that Vitality roster also has a very experienced Apex, a very experienced Zywoo. They still had Magisk on the roster. Well, at that time they had who was the fifth player on Vitality at that point? It wouldn't have been Mezzy. Mezzy replaced Magisk. Who would it have been? Spinks. They had Spinks on the roster, right? Who was also, a sort of second-year veteran player. So for them, it was justifiable to do that. But if you have Donk, who was barely 1 year into his career, Kaisuke is barely 1 year into his career, you're relying quite heavily on Shiro and Chopper to pull a lot of the weight there. So I can understand why they were maybe more hesitant to bring in more pure rookies. So Botaz, that was much later than that, from my understanding. That was more towards they asked them to take a pay cut to re-sign with the roster at the end of the year, which is why Falcons came in and took them, basically. I think they all got asked to take a pay cut to sign Spinks. I think they took it because Spinks was taking quite a big bit of salary, so I think they all got asked to take a pay cut to sign Spinks or to pay the transfer buyout for Spinks. I can't remember exactly, but that was like a minor one. But then Zonic and Magisk were basically, when they came to the re-signing their contract at the end of 2023, they basically got told like, hey, we want to renegotiate with you, but it needs to be on lower terms. And then that was when like a team like Falcons came in and kind of offered them Falcons money, and yeah. There you go. Alright guys, it's been 2.5 hours now. This actually may be the longest Untitled CS show we have ever done, which is not a bad thing, but I do have to sleep at some point. It's now 11:30 here in Denmark, and my kids are going to wake up at 6 o'clock no matter what time I go to sleep. So I am considering going to bed now, unless anyone's got any extremely pressing and valuable questions that they can ask. Thank you, Fruit Cup, for the raid. If you did raid the Twitch stream, appreciate that. When are you guys playing next, Mr. Fruit Cup? Boss, who have you played? You played Legacy Kingdom today, apparently. Oh, that was, today at 3 o'clock in the morning my time, so yesterday. Okay. Damn, you had a game, son. 1.94 on the second map? 1.7 overall? God damn. Alright. Will I go onto the HLV podcast? They wanted to do some rulebook thing. They haven't asked me, but they know that I'm always ready, willing, and available to go on their podcast whenever they ask. So if they ask, I will be there. If they don't, I won't. I don't think it will affect things either way. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I mean, they didn't say I couldn't say it. But HLTV did invite me to the HLTV awards show next year to speak on a panel about something, let's say. So I will be going to the HLTV awards next year, early January. It's like the first week of January. I accepted that invite. So yeah, we'll be going on a panel to talk about some stuff there. It's not like HLTV confirmed, just like a panel with some other industry people. I think there might be one player on the panel as well. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be streamed for everyone. But I'll be going to that. So even though I do criticize HLTV sometimes for some of the things they do, I think it's a mutual level of respect between the two parties, in a sense that they know that I'm not necessarily criticizing them, but the situation they're in regarding the VRS and whatever. The relationship is good. If they don't invite me to an HLTV confirmed podcast, I don't feel upset or anything. I don't believe the devs were at the HLTV Awards. They had Gooseman was there, so the dev of the original Counter-Strike back in 1999, 98. He was there at the last one, but I don't think the HLTV devs come. Sorry, I don't think the Valve devs come to the HLTV Awards generally. I'm sure they get invited, but they probably just don't turn up. Would be my guess. So yeah, I'm going to cut the podcast here because I am tired and it's bedtime. Before I go, let's bring up the QR code for this Legacy tee, which I'm wearing right here. See, look at that, boom. It says $27, but you need to remember that we are running a 30% off for this week. And I did not save the tweet, so I'm going to have to go back and find the tweet so I can show you the tweet. But we are running a 30% off tweet for this week on the entire store. The entire store. So, wait, did I say? Okay, yeah, I did. Look at this. Boom. Save 30% off everything in store. All you have to do is put in 30% sign off at checkout, and you can save 30% at store. That means that a $27 Legacy t-shirt will become an $18.9 or a $19 t-shirt. There you go. Look at that. You can get a jersey. What is a jersey going to cost you? If I do math in my head, which I'm not going to do, I'm going to do it on calculator. A jersey will cost you $42. That's 42 US hard-earned dollars. So that's my little plug for the end of the stream. I'm going to put myself back up here. Hello, look at me. Don't forget to go to the Discord up there if you want to ask me more questions that you would ask on the stream, but you forgot to ask on the stream, and then you want to ask me when you wake up at like 5 a.m. and remember what you wanted to ask me. Go ask me in the Discord, and I will respond to you in the Discord. Always join the Discord. The Discord is a cool place to hang out and talk with like-minded Complexity fans, and me, who is also a like-minded Complexity fan. Other than that, guys, I think we are done for the day. Don't forget to join the FACEIT. Oh my god, I hate this thing. I can never get the angle right. Don't forget to join the FACEIT club. You can win prizes from the leaderboards. We will be doing some more play with the pros nights, probably after we get back from Draculan in early September. Will be my guess. So we'll try and do that for you guys, get you guys to play with the pros. Maybe we can do it around the Fragadelphia block as well, so we can have JT get involved and maybe Hulzerg if his visa ever comes. Otherwise, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day if you are in the US of A or North America, Canada, wherever you're from. If you're from Europe, go to sleep. It's late and it's bedtime. And if you're from Australia, as always, what the fuck are you doing watching the show? It's bedtime, it's morning time, whatever you want to call it. Have a good one, guys. If you're playing in any matches in any of the North American tournaments going on right now, whether it's Dust 2, Inui, whatever it is, Masters, whether it's the NA Revival Series in 2 days, if you're playing in CCT North America Season 3, if you're playing in ECL, whatever the fuck there else is, I can't remember now. Like right now, there's tons of online tournaments. If you're playing in those, good luck, have fun. I wish you all the best. Just don't catch up with us on the VRS. Oh, that rhymes, guys. That rhymes. I wish you all the best. Just don't catch up with us on the VRS. Oh, it doesn't quite rhyme, but it's close. It's close. Good night, guys. Have a good one. I'm going to put on some really, really loud music. It starts really quiet and then it just goes bam. So turn your headphones down. Otherwise, you're going to get a very big scare. I'm going to run the outro and then, yeah, just be aware that you're going to get a bit of a jump scare.